If you're looking for a competitive board game with simple rules, short play time, that's tailor-made for 2 people, and highly addictive, look no further. What's up, board game enthusiasts? It's Shane here, and today I want to introduce you to Patchwork, a relatively unknown 2-player board game with simple rules, relatively inexpensive, that lasts about 30 minutes, and great for both kids and adults. The objective of this textile-inspired board game is to complete the highest scoring quilt by purchasing and placing patches, essentially jigsaw pieces, on your personal 9x9 board, earning you buttons or points. So, what comes in the box? Well, the board game consists of the following: 2 9x9 quilt boards and player meeples, 1 for each player, 1 central time board, it's double-sided but the side actually doesn't matter, 33 unique patches, 1 position token, 5 single patches, 1 7x7 bonus tile, a whole bunch of button tiles, and a printed set of instructions. Now, because this board game has a lot of small pieces that could be potential choking hazards, the suggested age of playing is 8 years old and up. To set up the game, randomly arrange all 33 patches in a circular pattern around the time board. Place the single patches on their respective positions on the time board, along with the player meeples at the start position. The 7x7 bonus tile, along with the button tiles, are then placed next to the time board. Then, place the position token in the clockwise position next to the lowest patch, in this case, the 1x2 patch. Each player then takes a quilt board along with 5 button tiles to start in hand. And now, you're ready to play. On your turn, you can carry out one of the following 2 actions. Action 1. You can move your player meeple directly in front of your opponent's meeple and earn 1 button tile for every space you had to move along the time board. Or action type 2. If you can afford it, you can take, pay, and then place a patch. When choosing a patch, you can only pick between the 3 patches directly clockwise from the position token. A patch that has been purchased must be placed before selecting your next patch. The position timer is then moved to where that patch was taken from. Depicted on each patch is a little label. The label indicates how many buttons it costs to purchase this patch, as well as how many spaces you need to move along the time board. Also, each patch may or may not contain large button symbols. These large button symbols indicate how many button tiles you receive as income when you move across a button symbol on the time board. As you can see, there are 9 income occurrences or payouts on the time board. Some patches are free and some are very expensive. Some patches cost you a lot of time on the time board, whereas others, very little. Here's the kicker. Players don't necessarily alternate between turns. Instead, whoever's player meeple is the furthest behind on the time board takes their turn. This means you can have multiple turns. And if you land on top of your opponent, it's still your turn. Once you've moved in front of your opponent on the time board, then it's their turn. Movement across a button symbol on the time board triggers a payout, equal to the number of larger button symbols that you have on your quilt at that time. Additionally, the first player to cross a single patch on the time board immediately takes it and places it on their own quilt board. And if at any point you fill a 7x7 portion of your quilt completely, you immediately take the 7x7 bonus tile, earning you 7 points for scoring purposes. The game ends when both players reach the middle of the time board. Each player then counts the number of button tiles they've accrued and subtracts 2 points for every empty space on their quilt board. That means negative scores are entirely and definitely possible. Even though Patchwork is extremely simple, there's a lot of strategy at play. It's a constant battle to figure out if a patch is worth the price. Will it pay off in the long term? Should you skip your turn and opt to advance your player meeple to gain buttons instead? And how exactly do you place your pieces on your quilt board effectively, yet leave space for some funky shaped tiles? No 2 patches are the same, and no 2 games of Patchwork are the same either. Trust me, after playing this game once, you'll forever be on a quest to beat your own high score. Just to let you know, my wife's high score is a whopping 37. Let me know in the comments below your high score. Personally, I start out by placing my first few patches in the center of my board, and it drives my wife bonkers. She's always super organized, and she usually starts at the corners. She's also way better at gauging what and when to buy certain patches. And the more you play, the more you'll realize that the time aspect is actually very critical, not just the initial cost or the potential payouts. So there you have it, Patchwork, a very quirky but very fun two-player board game. I'll leave links to where you can buy Patchwork in the description below, along with the complete rules. If you enjoyed this board game overview, hit that like button. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.